day to you, wherever you are, our friends, colleagues, fellow believers. My name is Mhlophe, and I have a concern about the rise of African spirituality in South Africa and people returning to indigenous belief systems. Yes, we live in a religiously pluralistic society. People have a right to believe whatever they want to believe, but we also told that South Africa is a majority Christian country. But what we are seeing today with people becoming diviners, fortune tellers, and engaging in witchcraft and other abominations, practices that the Bible clearly identifies as abominations, which have an effect of bringing a curse upon the nation. At one point, we were hearing incidences and reports of children being caught up in ancestral callings in various schools, even children as young as primary school children. This even led to the Department of Education in KwaZulu-Natal calling for what they call abstract to see how to incorporate African beliefs, African spirituality into the normal educational system. And which is very strange because departments of education, by their nature, they're supposed to be religiously neutral. But the stance that is taken recently to try and weave in African spirituality within the life of a schooling system is a bit of a concern to me. And I think it's time for us to rise up. I think it's time for us to understand the impact that these things have. And ordinarily, when you deal with something like this, you'll be caught up in issues of politicization of religion, and people are going to take a stance on this and using race as a mechanism to which to either allow debate or silence debate. But this is more than that. It's more than that. These things and practices predate our racial rivalries and our issues in South Africa and ethnic rivalries. They're not about the state of our composition in terms of racial groups in South Africa. They are practices that the Bible clearly delineates as abominable. And so as believers, I believe our responsibility is to go back to the mandate to disciple. And I think that's where the problem is really, is the lack of discipleship, the proper explaining and the proper teaching of the Bible, where we don't just have people who claim to be Christians but do not live out their faith. Of course, it's not limited to certain racial groups. These practices, we see them also permeating across the spectrum of the racial composition of South Africa. And if we don't rise up, that's the thing, because we are people who are concerned about the spiritual climate of a nation, because we know the impact that it has on a nation. The Bible says, blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. I believe the opposite is also true. When a nation rejects God, rejects his commands, there are consequences for that. So I'm calling upon you to take up a stand right now, wherever you are, to understand your responsibility. I believe God has raised up in our group, God has people in this nation who have the capacity, who have the passion, and the desire to bring change and to be instruments and agents of change. I want to be that person. I trust that you are being stirred up as well to be that kind of an individual. The Lord bless you.